Okay, session 2 of our fall kickoff. Here we are again. Okay, so we left off with all the introductions and reading the Wild Tree Creed, which was awesome. And now what I'd like to do is just actually hear from you guys on what you would like to get out of this training, because I do have like an outline and I'm going to, hopefully get through all those topics, but I would rather be making sure that you guys are getting what is going to be most beneficial to you too. So I have my little sticky paper, actually giant sticky paper back here. So I'm going to write down some things. I think this will work. So I'm trying to be creative here. Okay, so can you guys just name some different things that you're hoping to get out of today, or things that you might struggle with or whatever? You can just shout them out. Or not.
Everybody's waiting. I'm excited to hear how to practice the demos of when we're at our parties, and what do you say when just kind of hearing different ideas on how to present Wild Tree to your parties.
Okay. You guys probably can't even see that on.
Feel like I'm stuck in a rut, so I'd love to hear new ideas.
Okay. So demo, new ideas. Do you have anything, Kelly, in particular that you can think of?
Actually, I was going to say the same thing. I have my first freezer meal party coming up this next Monday night. And so just to kind of see how you do it would be great, just to get some ideas.
Okay, so we're definitely going through the demo, so that'll be awesome. Amy, you're brand new, so you're probably like, I just want all of it. But
I'm like a wet sponge. I just want to soak up any information you guys have to give me.
Okay, so if you guys think of anything along the way, like maybe I'll mention some things that aren't necessarily in our outline, but things that for me, that was like, I would have liked help with this when I was getting started is like having systems. I like to have systems. I don't like complicated systems. I just want a real simple, basic, user-friendly system, but I do want some sort of a system to organize my stuff, because otherwise I feel like I'm like looking like my office looks right now, which this isn't really how I operate my business. This is the catch-all. But anyways, is that something that would be beneficial for you guys, is like to know, okay, so I'll put that on the list too, is just like systems to organize or whatever.
And then Yota, I was watching Sonara Brown's, the training and her modules about checkout.
Oh yeah.
I know like that's an area that I need to work on is,
the checkout.
Making it an expectation that they'll come and check out with you.
Okay.
And I know you're really good about that. So I'd love to just kind of walk through what that looks like as well.
Okay.
Because it's such a critical piece.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, awesome. Anything else that comes to mind, you guys? Okay. Perfect. So oh, what about your mom? Does she have any?
No, she's on the phone with my sister.
Okay. I'll give everybody, so I'll do the drawing in a little bit. I'm going to actually move this little sheet. If things come up as we're talking, if you're like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that I want to make sure we cover something, just tell me, and then we'll just add it to the list to make sure we go through that. So, let's see. Yeah. Okay. This is kind of fun in my sweats, except for, I don't know who all is going to view the recording, but it is what it is. So I'm going to go through something we call the prosperity circle with you guys. It, to me, is like one of the most game-changing systems. I mean, it really is kind of a system. It's more kind of in your mind, I guess, as far as like the way you process things. Actually, if you guys want to take a minute, does everybody have a pen and paper in front of you? Maybe just take a second and write down, if you know, kind of what your goal is with Wild Tree right now. And actually, why don't we break it up into like 3 goals? So like maybe you have your big, huge goal. That's like, I'll give you my goals for an example so that it gives you some kind of reference to go off of. So my big goal that my Wild Tree business could do for our family is to like buy our own lake cabin at Priest Lake. So that's like $1 million goal, right? So I believe it will happen, but it's going to be in the distant future. Then let's see, I'm trying to think. My close in goal is like promoting to director in the next couple months is my hope. So that's what I'm really intentionally working towards. And with that, I have an income goal of $5,000 per month, kind of packaged together, because that kind of goes together. When you promote to director, your income is going to be at least $5,000 a month. So that's that. And then I don't know. I guess I don't really have a specific medium goal, but also I guess my other goal is earning the trip for 4. So those are my intentional, because I almost have President's Club earned. So those are my personal goals I'm working towards. Your goal could be anything, like maybe your 1 month goal is just even booking a certain number of parties, or having a certain dollar amount of income. If you don't know right now, you don't necessarily have to like write it down, but it's important to kind of keep that in the forefront of your mind, So why don't you guys be thinking about it? If you have something in mind right now, write it down. Like if you're like, I want to promote to team leader or promote to senior team leader, and you might not even know what all of that means exactly, but just kind of either write something down or just kind of be thinking about that. And then I'm going to go through the prosperity circle with you, so it'll make a little bit more sense. And by the end of our training, I'm hoping that everybody kind of has a clearer picture of what you want, what your goals are and your vision with Wild Tree, because I think sometimes it's hard to create your goals and your vision if you don't know all the details in between. Like, oh yeah, I'd like to make X amount of dollars, but you don't even know if that's feasible, in the near future. So I'll kind of help you with the details on that. Does anybody have a goal they'd like to share right now?
I brainstormed mine.
Okay.
So my big goal would be to be able to retire from teaching full time. I mean, I don't want to leave kids or the craft of teaching because it is a passion of mine, but to kind of get to explore what else am I capable of doing, and kind of getting to figure something else out and, push myself in an area that's new, and, from being uncomfortable is growth. So I would love to be able to explore Wild Tree as a career option. A middle of the road goal for me is like, I would like to promote to senior team leader. My goal for income wise would be, right now, could I make $2,500 to $3,000 a month doing this? It would be a whole lot easier for me to convince my husband to let go of teaching full time if I was able to, bring something to the table. And then my short-term goal is to get better at follow-ups. I know that's a weakness of mine, is I kind of just like go on to the next thing, and I need to stop and have a better system at follow-ups.
Okay, I'm going to add that to our list, which is part of our system topic, but just to make sure that we remember to do that. Oh, sorry. I made my dogs bark because I did that on the door, so they think somebody's here. So sorry about that if you heard that. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Karen, so much for sharing that. Do either of you have a goal in mind that you want to share right now?
Like I said, I'm still so new at this, and I'm still trying to wrap my brain around what is possible and what I can even expect. But I'd like to, just starting out, I'm like, okay, it'd be great if I made $1,000 a month. I'm like, that's a good number. That's substantial, And my husband was like, I don't really want you to do this if you're only going to make $200 a month, So I'm like, okay, $1,000, that's a good number, right?
Yeah.
And I want to have 2 parties a week. That's what I want to do.
Awesome.
I know those are pretty simple goals right now, but like I said, I'm still learning, and those are just kind of what's on my mind right now.
Those are
Well,
awesome.
yeah, your actions, the action steps of 2 parties a week definitely match up to making $1,000 a month, and then some, But Karen, your raft was $1,000, right?
Right.
And that was your first or second Wild Tree check?
That was my first check.
I mean, so she took her $1,000 Wild Tree check and went and bought I just think it's such a great story.
And I did less than that 2 parties a week. So I mean, those are awesome goals. You'll be surprised at how successful you'll be.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty slick.
Yeah. Kelly, do you have any goals in mind right now?
Well, actually, my main goal would be to promote to team leader.
Woo-woo.
And Also, I was thinking 2 parties a week and at least 1,000 a month would be great as far as income goes. Starting anyway, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Those are great goals. So yeah, and promoting to team leader is where you're going to see that income jump from, I mean, basically you could do the same amount of work as a representative and be making about $1,100 a month as you would be at a team leader level making $1,600 a month doing the same number of parties. You know, it's more the same number of sales, you know, obviously it's based on your sales, but yeah, so we'll talk more about that too. So if you guys have a paper in front of you, at the top of your paper, go ahead and write, we're gonna have 4 sections here, and we're gonna connect them with arrows to form a circle. So the top is vision, okay? And then that you can put like goals under that, I guess, vision goals. So I'm going to give you an example. Like every time you accomplish something in your life, you actually probably worked your way through the prosperity circle and you didn't even know you were doing it, because has anybody heard of the prosperity circle before? Okay. It's really cool. We had a partner with Wild Tree who taught us all about human dynamics, and there's so much more to this even than what I'm going to share with you, but this is just a really simple formula to always kind of keep in your mind. So every successful accomplishment usually starts with a vision or a goal in mind. So you could even think about like when you got married, you had an idea of what you wanted your wedding to be like, right? And then you got excited and you shared it with people. So the next phase is, we're gonna go here to, you're gonna write excitement, and socialize. In the second spot. So you get excited, you tell everybody what your plan is, and then you're going to go down here and you are going to make a plan. So you can write plan and action. That's where most of your time is spent, is right there, okay? Because that's where you're doing the work. And then from time to time, you're going to analyze and reflect is the next one. No judgment from any teachers here, because I'm not actually a teacher, but hopefully I'm doing okay.
Doing great.
Karen. Okay, and then it goes back around. So why is this important in your business? Number one, if you skip any of these steps, it really does make a difference in your success. And I don't know if you can tell right off the bat that you have a tendency to gravitate towards a certain spot in the prosperity circle, but when we're under pressure in our life, this is when your biology kicks in, and that's when you basically have a tendency to gravitate towards one of these areas. Everybody, for the most part, everybody gravitates towards one a little bit more than the others. You have a few people in the world who are pretty well balanced, but as a general rule, people have a tendency to go towards one of those different categories. Do any of those stand out to any of you guys? Like when the pressure is on, or like, I guess just basically in a pressure situation, do you feel like you know where you gravitate in that prosperity circle naturally? Does anybody want to tell what they think they are? Like, not think they are, but like, where you go, like Karen, can you see where you naturally would go in the prosperity circle?
Yeah, I'll throw you for a loop. I don't know if I go for directly one spot. I think I kind of go in between plan and action and analyze and reflect.
Oh.
I know, well, if I'm thinking about Wild Tree, it's plan and action. I feel like, okay, I gotta figure this out and get aggressive and do something with this. But I definitely see the importance with analyze and reflect. with plan and action. So I'm kind of middle of the road, but if you wanted me to choose one spot, I would definitely say action.
Okay. What do you, Kelly, do you have in mind, like one of those that was where you typically would go, like under pressure?
I would probably have to say in between plan and action and analyze and reflect.
Okay.
Probably, yeah.
Amy, do you have any thoughts on that? I know you
Yeah,
can't.
I mean, super similar. I tend to find stressed or pressured, I'll pull back and look at everything, you know, definitely take stock. So analyze and reflect. But I'm hoping with Wild Tree, like if I feel nervous or under pressure, that I will want to do plan and action, you know, and move forward and figure out what I need to know.
Yeah. And so it's everybody, like I said, everybody has a natural tendency to go to one place, but it's not meaning that one spot is better than another spot. It's just knowing where you're at so that you know the next step to take. And that's so cool because for me, actually, analyze and reflect is really low. There's a test you guys can take so you can really find out, like if you want to pay $30 to take the test or take the test. But I go in between plan and action and my vision and goals. Like I'm just like leapfrog back and forth, and I kind of skip these two steps a lot. And I realized, you know, it's like I'm doing all this work. I'm trying to, you know, make this goal happen. And it's like I wasn't taking the time to like reflect on like, okay, why isn't this working like it did before? Like, and so I actually took, and it's really hard for me because I feel like I'm not being productive right here in that analyzed space, you know? So I actually took a couple of days. I remember this, it was like a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And it was like, why was my business going gangbusters for so long? And then it kind of was like stagnant for a little bit. And I realized that I needed to spend a little bit of time reflecting and analyzing, looking at what I was doing different now than I was before, and just kind of regrouping and then getting clear on my vision and goals and moving through the prosperity circle. So the whole idea of this is that we're just intentional about always moving around that circle. And if you're stuck, your natural tendency is actually sometimes to go backwards. They call that brute force, and you don't need to worry about that too much. But basically, you always just want to be moving, you know, clockwise, just forward through that circle. So I think it's a really neat thing to just have that little tool in your toolbox to know, like, okay, you know, basically we want to just start right here. You always kind of want to start with your vision and goals and be really clear on that. So we've kind of talked about the vision and goals with Wild Tree, with the Creed, your individual vision and goals. What's really neat is that you just shared your goals with us. And so that's kind of that socializing piece. And so then obviously the next step is to make a plan and take action on that and have a clear plan. And then I'm going to teach you about tracking that so that when we want to analyze what actions you are doing, we can figure out if that matches your vision and goals. You know what I mean? And then otherwise we need to change the goal or we need to change the action steps involved because A plus B has to equal C. Kind of like you, Amy, when you said 2 parties a week making $1,000 a month. Well, I mean, that matches, you know, but if someone said I want to make $1,000 a month and I want to do 1 party a month, that doesn't match up. So it's kind of like making sure, just having a trackable system so you can know what you need to change your work on. So I love that. I use it in my life constantly, outside of Wild Tree even. And I just feel like it's really helpful because it really works. It makes sense. And once you learn a little bit more about it, we can go into like some other training, maybe do like a leader training later. It's really fun because it even helps you understand your husband more. And once you dig into each of those, it's so crazy. So I did a whole weekend training at Tahoe on those human dynamic skills. And it was like life-changing to understand that. So there's some different ways that we can also get excited and socialize our goals and our business with, besides just amongst ourselves, but with, you know, our people out there that we're trying to maybe book parties with and get excited about Wild Tree also. So we, I mean, obviously you're going to want to be sharing the product with people. You're going to be wanting to make your calls and reaching out to people and getting those bookings on the calendar and stuff. But also one thing that we talked about last weekend was your 10-second commercial, but actually I think it's more like a 3-second commercial because 10 seconds might even be a little bit too long. So does anybody have like a really clear explanation of Wild Tree that is like, honestly, like 3 seconds, like 1 to 2 sentences really, if you were to see somebody, out and about, and they're like, oh, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing these days? I haven't seen you for a while. And you're like, oh, actually, I just joined this new company called Wild Tree. Have you heard of it? And if they're like, no, I haven't heard of it. Does anybody have a quick 1 or 2 sentences that they say to people, to kind of just let them know what Wild Tree is in a nutshell? It's okay if you don't.
That's on the spot.
Yeah, I know. Mandy did this to us last weekend, so I'm just passing on the love here.
Well, the first person I talked to who came over to my house, who I told actually was a friend, and she was so stressed because she had worked all day. She's a nurse, really busy with kids, and I don't know what I'm going to make for dinner, So I started talking, and I was mentioning some really good points, but I could tell she wasn't quite grasping. So I said, it's like an organic freezer meal food prep for dinner, I just kind of threw that out there, and she's like, oh, that's really cool. And that just kind of got her, just like the one line.
Yeah, that's
like,
awesome.
I want to see it, show me, and so she's gonna have a party for me. So I think in my very short experience, I think the more simple the better.
Yeah, for sure.
That just kind of sent her in.
Well, and I think too, something that Mandy mentioned was you want to give them enough information to generate curiosity, but you don't want to give them so much information that they're left not even having a question to ask you. You know what I mean? To where I think sometimes we feel like we have to do this whole long paragraph of an explanation of Wild Tree so that they really understand. But ultimately, we want them to not know everything, just know enough, like what you shared, like, oh, well, tell me more about that. Like, how do you do this freezer meal workshop prep, or this or that. So what I've been saying is, not to say it's right, I just had to come up with something, and I was like a broken record doing all these fair, vendor events, because you have to have a really short something to say to people to get them to want to stay at your table for a couple minutes. So I just say we're an organic food company, and we help people with meal planning solutions. And then I do kind of move on. If I don't know that I really caught them, then I say, primarily we do that through our freezer meal workshops. Are you interested in learning more? That's kind of a fair situation, but I think you could just even say, whatever feels comfortable for you, but that's something to maybe put on your little to-do list, is coming up with something that it's gonna just roll off your tongue like, I don't even know. I mean, whatever you can say almost in your sleep, so that when you are out and about meeting people, you have that really quick couple sentences that you're going to say to share about Wild Tree. And I think it's really important. It's kind of a funny little thing that we don't necessarily think about when we're getting started, but it is like, oh, you run into someone and it's your opportunity, and then you're like, oh, you're tongue-tied. You don't really know what to say. So, so put that on your to-do list of things to work on if you don't feel like you have a really clear, I like I said, I would call it a 3-second commercial versus a 10-second, kind of your elevator speech or whatever they call that. Another way to socialize and be excited and kind of work towards these goals is to really take advantage of social media. So if anybody knows me, they know like I'm newer to Facebook, so I'm not that good at it really. And it's starting to become part of my routine, I guess, but it's still an effort for me to do that. There's a couple different ways that you can share Wild Tree through social media. One would be, and if you're newer, I really recommend putting it on your personal page, not to the point that you're driving people nuts and they want to defriend you or something, but just enough that you're generating some curiosity and people are knowing that you're selling Wild Tree. Because keep in mind that you might, even if you posted one thing a day for a month, there's a good chance that the same people aren't necessarily seeing that post, because it's not like everybody, I mean, we're all busy moms, like we're not necessarily going through Facebook reading our entire news feed, maybe ever. You know what I mean? So you could reach one person one day and then a whole nother group of people could see your posts the next day. So I don't think you should really be afraid that you're like driving people crazy posting things. I think you should just look at it more as an opportunity to generate that curiosity and interest and draw them into your, to asking you some questions is really the hope, So there's a lot of different social media posts in our back office. If you go into the Media Resource Center, do you know how to get there, Amy? I think you've been in there. Okay. Just in the search bar, you could even type in like, I think social media graphics, and I'll probably bring a bunch of stuff up. I think there's actually like if you scroll down in there, there's actually a topic for social media too. So we've got a new marketing department, which has been really great because there's some really pretty images that look really branded and professional that you can put out there. And then another thing is Facebook Live videos. If you guys, I mean, I was really nervous and shaking the first time I did one, but now I'm like, I kind of like them. They're kind of fun because you don't have to, sorry, I have a small creature wanting to come visit. I don't know, it's just so much easier than typing up a big long thing that you're trying to explain. And I feel like people like watching Facebook Live videos more than they like to read this big long explanation of what you're doing. So if this is a really great time to do it, even if you have like those of you with little kids, you know, you can have them in the kitchen helping you. Maybe Kelly, you could have your husband helping you, or you could have him hold your phone and you could be cooking something, but make a Wild Tree meal. If you have an Instant Pot, maybe do an Instant Pot demo, or do, hey, I'm just, you know, I have this freezer meal that I put together when I made my meals. I'm getting ready to cook it. Just want to show you guys how awesome this is. It's all ready to go in here. We're just going to pop it in the oven, and then I'll, you know, come back in 25 minutes and I'll show you what dinner looks like on the table. And that's all I had to do after a long day of work, you know, or something like that. And just kind of demonstrate that stuff. That's a super, super awesome way to get people excited about Wild Tree. And it's just fun and interactive. And people I always want to hop on when I see somebody's on a Facebook Live video, even if I don't know who they are. I'm like, oh, what are they talking about? I don't know. There's something about those videos that's just more entertaining, and people like to watch them. And then you can post it on your page so they can watch it later if they're not on live. So that's a couple things. Another thing is our app. We're not going to go into depth about the app right now because it's just could be its own training by itself. But basically, you know, be sharing the app with people every day. Like, hey, download this Wild Tree Meals app. I don't know if you guys read the email that came out yesterday, but it's improving all the time. I mean, they are constantly making, actually you have to do an upgrade right now in order to get back in your app because they've done so many improvements that it's actually its own update. But share your app code with people, have your hostesses download the app with your code and share their code with, you know, the guests at their party, and also with any other friends and stuff. And they can get a kickback and generate some referral credit by sharing that app too. So like I said, we're not going to go into too much detail, but if nothing else, as long as you're sharing your app code and having people download that and letting them know this is another way they can use Wild Tree to help them with their meal planning solutions, it's a really great tool. And it's nice that we have the ability to offer all of these different types of solutions, because not everybody is going to be a freezer meal person. I mean, you're going to have people who, you know, my grandma, she tried that once at my very first one, but she just likes to dump stuff in and make her same hot dish, but she'll just use her, you know, Wild Tree products instead. Or you just might have other cooks like my cousins. They like to just use some of the simple seasonings to replace what they're cooking with. But there's always going to be a variety of different cooking styles that we could cater to. So just having all of those different avenues to share with people is really awesome. Do you guys have questions right now about that section of stuff, like the Prosperity Circle? How do you feel about the Prosperity Circle? Does that make sense? Yeah, it's so cool. I don't know. I just felt like I was like, what? Like light bulb when I heard that the first time. It was just so neat to have a system. I guess I like to have systems for things. How about that excitement piece and sharing Wild Tree? Is that something you guys are comfortable with, or were those ideas helpful, or is there any questions having to do with that? Okay. So
Can I ask one question really quick?
Yeah.
I know I kind of talked to you the other day about this, but I just wasn't sure. Should I open a separate Facebook for like my Wild Tree? Should I have
I'm glad you said that.
Hands?
Yeah, I'm glad that you reminded me of that, because that's actually part of what I wanted to say too, is that setting up a VIP page is what we've all done. It's a group, actually. We've all set up VIP groups, or not all of us, but a lot of us have. And so what I recommend is get your stuff out there on your personal page for a little while, because you have all those Facebook friends that you've had for a while and you want to kind of get them excited. A lot of people posted on their personal page, comment below like, hey, I just started a VIP page where I'm going to be sharing daily recipes and tips, or something. And then that's just a thing you have to keep up on. It's almost like there is a way, you guys, in a group that you can schedule posts, I think, out for even like a month. So keep that in mind for those of you who are like me and Facebook isn't like, you know, second nature all the time. You can actually sit down. I mean, you could even plan it out like on the first of the month. You're going to schedule out your posts for your VIP page for the whole month. Jacqueline told me about this. Jacqueline's super techie and good at all that stuff. I am not. And I don't know how to, I haven't done this yet, but it's within the group that you can schedule out your posts. It's pretty cool. And I think she did a little instructional video on it that I'll share. So I'll make a note of that so that we can all learn from Jacqueline. Schedule video. But I think that's a way to be able to manage a VIP page and have it constantly. You want to constantly be posting on that because you want people to be reminded a lot of it. And then when they, you know, when it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed about dinner all the time, whatever, like, oh yeah, this girl was posting all the time. You know, I remember that, you know, Amy was posting all these awesome, easy recipes. I'm going to check that a little bit more. Just have them, when they're thinking about mealtime, you want them to think about you, you know, as like you're their mealtime solution. So I think scheduling those posts, just picking out one day a month that you do that, you know, maybe it's the first Sunday of the month because, or the last Sunday of the month, whatever it is. But I think the beginning of the month is good. You have that new special for the month because we have that new Make Fresh promo every month. And then you can find recipes on the Wild Tree website. You can look on my VIP page. I'll add you guys. I'll make sure you guys are added. And then, like, I do this all the time. I just copy things off somebody else's VIP page. Just save the image, copy the post, change it to my app code if it has to do with the app. You know what I mean? Just tweak it to make sure you're not giving somebody else's website to your customers or something. But otherwise, just do that, copy mine and move it to yours. I mean, you guys can just do that going forward if you want to. But there were some fun things, like we did Croctober, you know, in October, and that was kind of generating like, oh, all these crockpot recipes and stuff. So I think with all of this, it is just time blocking and like making a little bit of a schedule to when am I going to do these things. My problem is I've been a little bit all over the board with the social media thing. I don't have a really good organized system. So what I'm saying to you guys about doing this once a month is what I need to do myself too. And I think it'll be that way. It's almost like out of sight, out of mind. It's just happening and you don't even need to worry about it. The nice thing about groups are when you do post, I think everybody in that group gets a notification, unless maybe they turn their notifications off from it. But there's some reasons from people who are techier than me and understand Facebook better that they said that creating a group is the best way to have your VIP group. So mine's called Wild Tree Yotasu's VIPs. And then I just, you know, I add my customers to that after my parties, and we can talk about that a little bit more when we talk about follow-up. We'll do follow-up at the end. But I mean, the wave of the future is social media. Honestly, I'm going to try to create a presence on Pinterest where if people click on something I post, it's going to link them to my website. I have no idea how to do this, but think about Pinterest, you guys. The type of people looking at Pinterest are us. Like, it's moms and, like, you know, people who want recipes, people who, it's our clientele are the Pinterest. I mean, for the majority are the Pinterest people. So don't get overwhelmed with all of this, because I've done my business successfully for 3.5 years with not doing a good job at any of that social media stuff. I'm just saying that's another avenue for income and to get that presence out there and really generate that excitement and sharing it with more people. So, we have a couple minutes left, and then our next topic will be recruiting. The thing I want to leave you guys with this is, since we're going from excitement to making a plan, actually, you know, I'm going to start the next segment with what I was going to say, because right now we kind of talked about vision, we talked about excitement and socializing things, and then we're going to move on to action. But let me leave you with one thing. Something super important with this excitement piece is share this with your family. Like, share it with your husband and talk to him about your goals and what that's going to do for your family, and get them on board with you, because I feel like that's a big piece that sometimes people skip. We as moms, we just go be like, hey, this is what we want. We're going to take action. We're going to get it done. But I think when you share that and make them part of the plan, they are a lot more supportive too, which is super awesome. and keep them in the loop with that. So let's log off. Does anybody, if you need to go to the bathroom, run to the bathroom, grab more to drink or whatever, I'm just going to log right back on because I'm good. So I'll just see you guys back in a minute and we'll move on to recruiting. Okay. Okay, bye.